make you mad. But it seems like when I talk to you, the words get in the way. I don't know what to do, and I don't know what to say. But it seems like when I talk to you, the words get in the way. They get between me and you. The words get in the way.
Hi, my name is Lori and welcome to another segment of The Relationship Show. The show that talks about all kinds of issues, discussions, topics, anything that pertains to relationships. It doesn't even have to be about a man and a woman. It can be about your coworker. It can be about your neighbor. It can be about a stranger on the street. Any kind of questions that you want to share, send your questions to www.therelationship@yahoo.com, and we would be more than happy to get your answers that you may have about anything that you have that's on your mind. And with me today is my wonderful, wonderful guest, our Jo Wench. I love her. I love her personality. I love her realism. I love her truth. I love her integrity. She's done so much for the community and continues to do a lot for the community, and I feel blessed to have her on my show. So thank you for coming to The Relationship Show.
I'm going to take you on the road. Because that was great.
You know, but
Great
it's true.
stuff,
You
great
are so
stuff.
down to earth. It's nice to have someone that you can talk to that's going to be open and honest about every kind of issues, not only just about relationships and in general, and you're the woman. You're very highly respected, and I'm glad to have you on my show.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you feel that way. You know, everybody doesn't feel that way. Everybody don't want to have the truth. They
bad
want
for
to
them.
ask the question, but they don't want to hear the truth.
Wow.
You know, so I'm glad that you recognize that that's who I am and that's what I do.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you know, this is going to be an interesting show today because I'm really charged up about the recent occurrence at Sandy Hook.
Yes,
That really,
devastating.
it bothers me because there's a lot of things that are unspoken that I think today we're going to touch a little bit about it just from a relational perspective in terms of the responsibility of a family, knowing that if there's an issue with a child, you know, how much involvement should that parent or any guardian should you know, extend out so that they can get help.
Right.
And unfortunate, you know, a lot of deaths have occurred as a result of this incident yesterday. But before we get into that, I want to just start off with some questions that I received from the viewer. We have some really good questions, and I think, given, like I said, in light of this other issue, our number of questions are going to be short because we really want to focus on the Sandy Hook issue.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we got one from a viewer that says, "My husband has been deployed in Afghanistan." And, excuse me, let me use my glasses because I can't really see that well.
I hear you, girl.
My husband is deployed in Afghanistan, and how do I, or can I've just totally lost my rhythm. I messed up.
Go ahead.
No, can we start over? Or we can't?
Why? No, keep going. You're live. Go ahead. Girl, let me tell you, that's a natural thing. It happens all the time. Keep moving.
Keep it moving.
Keep it
I'm like, you
moving.
know me. I just got to like kind of take a step back and say, can we do it over? Guess what?
No,
In
keep
life,
it
we
moving.
can't always do it
Yeah,
over.
keep it moving.
All right. Well, thank you so much. But okay, my husband is deployed in Afghanistan. How do I keep the home fires burning while we are separated? Sincerely, in love, in war. You know, it really is a lot about communication. And, you know, Arjo, I'm going to look to you because I know that you've been in that situation where you've been away from family and it's been difficult to maintain that connectivity and the relationship aspect of it. But one of the things that I personally think is important is that you have to be open with the person you're with and just know that communication is important. You know, we have the social mediums out there, we have the texting, we have emails, and I know that they have access to emails through the systems that are out there by the government. Okay, sometimes. Then there's the U.S. Postal Mail, which I believe is also available.
Sometimes.
And then there's just a matter of just believing that you'll see that person again and just continue to be prayerful and keeping a journal. Now, one of the things I bring up about the journal is when you're not able to communicate to that person on a regular basis, it's nice to write down your thoughts and sharing some of the feelings that you have for that person. And so when you do get that opportunity to share with them, you have things that you've saved close to you that you can share, and it'll be easily available. So you don't have to try to figure out what you were feeling a month ago or what have you. What are your thoughts?
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yes.
That, while you can't communicate with one another, you can write those things down.
Yes.
So that when you do have an opportunity to, you can.
Yes.
And then you mentioned the emails sometime. It depends on where you're stationed,
Yes.
if that's available.
Yes.
Mail sometime. It depends on where you are if that's available. And one of the key important things, it depends on like how old this person is.
That is correct.
But one of the things that I know from experience and, being in the military, and also my last job as a military, I was like a first sergeant, so I got, all of these things about people being away, is that you have to know that when you get into this type of relationship, that these are some of the things that you're going to encounter.
Wow.
And so they have a really great support group where, they have like a spouses organization.
Oh,
So you have like the military has for the military member, but then they also have spouse organizations where those people who are spouses of military members can get together and talk about these kind of issues. Now, does that help you when you want to have your husband or your wife, late at night? Not really.
Right.
But you can talk to somebody else who's probably feeling those same kind of frustrations and those same kind of, loneliness and losses. So it's really a really personal, talking about relationship, it's really a personal issue that you're going to have to make a determination, the individual, what you do about those feelings.
Right. Now, what about the misnomer? From what I understand, there's a lot of opportunity for when you're away from each other. Let's just be honest. Let's be point blank honest. That there could be infidelity when you've been away from each other for so long. What kind of peace of mind can you give someone who knows that they're away from someone that they love, and that there's always opportunity for something to happen while they're out? Fighting for their country.
That's a decision that they're going to have to make to, now
That's an individual decision.
That's an individual decision. And you got to decide, who you are, who he or she is, how important that relationship is, and, make a decision about what you should do about it. If you have children, then you probably need to engross your time into your children and get your children in activities so there gives you activities.
Right.
So you're on the go all the time. You're busy all the time. The kids become your world until, your husband or wife, can come back and enter the world so that you don't, have those things or those thoughts, or don't give yourself an opportunity to, have those things creep up.
No, I agree. And I think the important thing is that that person needs to understand that it is about relationship. And when you go into it knowing, like Arjo was sharing, these are the things that you have to keep in mind. But keep focused on the fact that it's only short term. It's not going to be forever. And you genuinely love that person, and he or her genuinely loves you, you guys are going to stick it out. People do it all the time. It happens
they do it
all the time.
It does happen all the time.
So don't lose hope. Stay in love in spite of the distance, because if you guys are meant to be together, you guys are going to work it out and make it work. So thank you for that wonderful little question. I have another one. It says, Dear Lori, I worked at a large corporation in the Hartford area. Okay. Been employed with them for 3 years. Okay, need my glasses once again. I should just keep them on my head, as RJ was mentioned
Girl,
earlier.
don't tough it out.
I'm
Just
serious.
put your glasses
This is a
on.
mess. In that time, there have been a high turnover of coworkers. This batch of recent college graduates do as little as possible. They spend more time texting, updating their Facebook status, talking on the phone. As a result, my work has suffered. What should I do? Should I tell my boss that I cannot work with these people? Should I confront them, or should I just quit? And that was a good question.
By all means, don't quit, because as new people enter the workforce, they're also looking for directions.
Right.
We talked about this a little bit, earlier. One of the things that's wrong with the laws is that it keeps changing, so people don't understand the consistency. So if you're a supervisor and these things are happening, you need to call them in and say, look,
they need to call.
The supervisor needs to call. So who's the supervisor? Is she the supervisor?
No, she's a
or
coworker.
somebody
It's a
else? She's a coworker. So she needs to have a conversation with her supervisor and say, look, I understand that we want to engage, other employees, because don't mention their age.
Right.
Other employees, newer employees, but we need to also let them know what our requirements are, what their expectations are.
Okay.
Because one of the things, if you're an employer and you hire people and you don't tell them what you expect of them, they'll come in and do exactly what they think they should be doing. So maybe they think there's nothing wrong with texting when they should be answering the phone, emailing their friends when they should be doing other stuff. So the supervisor got to really say, look, you're expected to do A, B, C, D, E, you know, during the time that you're
Right.
here. Now, the fact that they're doing other stuff rather than what they were employed to do, that becomes a performance issue.
I agree.
So the supervisors should probably do, you know what, we're going to do a pre-evaluation so that you know where I think you are right now. You've been here for, like, say, a month.
Okay.
All right, so in that time period, because most people have a probation period, like 90 days. So within that first month, you're going to say, okay, well, this is what I think you've done thus far. You know, you've been texting for this amount of time. On the phone for this amount of time, doing this for this amount of time because you observed this.
That's correct.
Or you've been observed by your coworkers as doing it, which is more important, believe it or not. What the coworker thinks about what you're doing is way more important than like the mom, the dad, the supervisor
That's
thinks
correct.
about what you're doing. So your coworkers are feeling like they're having to pull your share of the work.
And I want to add some of that to what you were saying. That's a very good point. I think that there is some kind of a responsibility as a coworker because ultimately, you know, what you do does impact what I do. There's some overlapping in terms of my function and my job and how that impacts with this other person.
Exactly.
If I'm slacking what I'm supposed to be doing, then that ultimately affects my department and organization. Another thing that they should think about is if you're comfortable enough, you could be very comfortable with your coworkers and they may think, you know, you don't even care what I'm doing, okay? And you feel comfortable enough to go up to them and say, hey, you know what? Just between you and me, I've been noticing. So if I've been noticing, it's very possible that your manager could be taking note on it. Give them an opportunity to get themselves correct.
That's true.
If they look at you to say, you know, mind your own business and, you know, or take a defensive attitude.
Yeah, then take it to the supervisor.
Take it to the next level. Let your supervisor know, hey, I've been struggling with this. I just want you to bring, I'm just bringing awareness that such and such is been holding their weight or what. I've been noticing that they've been on the computer doing a lot of Facebooking and stuff. But I also notice within corporations, and I work for a corporation, there's a lot of blocking anyways. They will not allow you to go to
You can't go out to
websites.
certain places.
That is correct. So ultimately, if that person is doing it on the company's computer, that's a bigger issue too.
Exactly.
And that could, there's some policy behind that.
Absolutely, there is.
So from that perspective, I think that you need to weigh in on the situation, determine who you're dealing with in terms of whether it's someone that you feel comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with, go to your manager. But if you feel comfortable to talk to them directly and let them know, hey, I'm just giving you a heads up and I'm noticing certain things, then absolutely you should feel comfortable enough and maybe they will turn things around. But ultimately, you are not responsible for their work.
You're not.
No. And while you may be a little annoyed and frustrated, ultimately you are not accountable for how they choose or not choose to handle their day. And so you need to weigh in how you want to approach it and then go from there.
But didn't she say that it was causing her to have to do more work? Or was increasing her workload because they were not?
She was saying that, where did I go with that one? I threw that back there. She said they spend more time texting, as a result, my work has suffered.
Yeah.
And then, so from that standpoint, she's saying her work has suffered. To what extent?
Right.
Is she so bogged down by thinking about X, Y, and Z, and they're not doing their job?
She's spending too much time on what they're doing rather than doing
hers. She's not doing her job, and she's feeling like I'm doing all the work and I'm carrying all the load.
Yeah.
Or you're right. We need to determine if, in fact, what this person is supposed to be doing, and they're supposed to pass it on to you, and then you're supposed to finish up. So we're weighing in on a couple of levels. If it is directly impacting your work in terms of that you cannot continue a task because you're waiting for that person to provide you some additional information. I personally feel that if you're comfortable enough with them, give them a heads up and say, look, I got to get this done. This is the third time I saw you texting. You know,
right.
I'm just letting you know it's affecting my work. And if I'm noticing it, just passing by, seeing it at your desk, and you're not getting things done because I'm seeing you up on
they
Facebook.
They could be too.
You need to, you need to reevaluate your priorities and determine what you need to do. If it is not directly affecting you in terms of it not affecting your
then
work,
just blow it off.
Blow it off. Go to the manager. Let them know. And again, if you're comfortable enough, you can approach it. So.
Exactly.
Good questions. Thank you very, very much.
They're tough. What?
Yeah, today.
You got some tough audience, girl.
Oh my goodness. You know, they're really concerned today. Hey, it says, I think my man is stepping out. Because of this, when he's not looking, I read his text message. I also look at previous called numbers and I see who he's calling. Since I know his password for his email, I just look at who he's emailing him. However, I do not read his messages. Yeah, I think you read his messages. If you go this far,
yeah, you reading them. You're reading them.
Come on now, don't try to play it off like you all, secure with yourself.
Right.
Going on. I check his Facebook status and see who his friends are. What else can I do to see if he's cheating?
How about leave him alone? You know, you ask. This is the kind of stuff where you're asking for problems.
You are
if
funny.
you don't trust this person, let him go.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
But don't do this because this not helping you or helping him.
Or the relationship.
Because now you're violating, believe it or not, you're violating his privacy.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's his phone that you're in. It's his emails that you're in. It's his voice messages that you are in.
Yeah.
If you got that much of a trust factor, you probably don't need to be with that person.
Right. But there's got to be, you know what? I agree with you, Arjo. I do. I agree with you because trust should be, I have an understanding, you understand that we're not going to disrespect and we're not going to go behind each other's back and do things that are not with the utmost integrity.
Right.
There's got to be more. Like, for her to blatantly do that, I'm like,
well, maybe he's cheated on her before and she might have caught him or something.
Yeah, but you know, I don't get that impression from this. I get the impression that she's just feeling insecure for whatever reason.
Yeah, something is going on.
Something is going awry.
Yeah, we don't have all the answers there. We don't have, you know, all the pieces, you know. And that's the troubling thing about relationships. You know, you get one side, you don't get all of the pieces.
That's right.
So, you know, you can kind of win. But from my perspective, I'm like, girlfriend, ignore that. Let that go. Let that be his meal, his whatever. Get your own phone. That's not right either.
Phone.
Get your own phone.
But you know what? But Arjo, I'm big on communication.
Yes.
I'm big on, if you start to feel something isn't right in my relationship, I think it's important for you to talk about it. Now, if he's like, you know, all defensive and say, baby, what's your problem? You know, you got issues and stuff, then I would be a little concerned. But overall, I think that there needs to be an understanding up front. I'm not comfortable. Maybe she saw a text, took it out of context, and thought that...
Maybe she shouldn't have been looking at his phone. Maybe that's his phone that she shouldn't be in.
Yeah,
let me tell you, I'm not taking up for him, okay? I'm saying just rid yourself of the frustration, period. Don't go there. This is self-induced frustration. You're going there looking for something. Don't go looking because you're going to find something. Don't go looking.
Or maybe you won't find anything, but the fact
don't
is
go
you
looking.
broke that trust.
Yeah, don't go searching for it. Now, if a girl come up to you and hit you in the face, okay, it's there. You know, but don't go looking for trouble.
Right, I agree.
You know, just avoid that.
A relationship should be built on trust. And if you have any problems, my recommendation, I believe Arjo's saying the same thing, is don't trust him.
Yeah.
And if you have issues, talk to him.
Yeah.
Don't be going behind his back, checking his text and everything. Because at the end of the day, even if you do find something, that's a Pandora box. You just opened up something, there's mistrust. And then from there, how do you recover? Not only did you catch your man cheating on you, okay, if that ends up being the case, there's a breakdown in something in the relationship because now he feels like, oh my goodness, she's checking up on me.
She watching me, she checking me, she hounding me, she
what's
dogging me.
That's a mess.
The relationship might be going on the end anyway. You know, so don't do it to yourself. You know, don't do it to yourself. Let it go.
Okay, we have time for one more question, and then we're gonna get right into the Sandy Hook scenario.
You got a lot of questions today.
I got a lot more. I'm just trying to cut down on what I can get today. All right, here's a good one. Dear Lori, I'm unemployed. I'm currently looking for work, but after 7 months, still nothing. I am living with my sister. She's been great. Since I'm not working, I haven't helped with her financially in terms of the rent, food, lights. I mean, I do help with the cleaning and the laundry and helping with the babysitting. But since this Christmas, what can I get her and my 2 nephews? Remember, I'm unemployed. I want to give back. Thanks, penniless.
Give love, you know, because love is what you have. You know, give love. But if you are going to be a stay-at-home person, you are going to be caring for your sister's children, call me, 860-796-2368. I am not joking because there are child care providers needed.
Really?
So what you're actually doing is providing a child care for free.
Wow.
Don't do it. Call me, 860-796-2368. We're going to teach you how to do it right.
Oh, wow. And then you could probably get a gift or something for your sister because then you'd be getting a little money.
But you can give her the gift later.
Okay.
Because it takes time for the process.
Absolutely.
But don't ever feel helpless or hopeless.
No.
There's always help.
No. And I don't get that feeling with her. I think that she just feels like
wants
she
to
has to
give
do
what
a
she
little
doesn't
more.
have.
I think she wants to do a little more.
Give love. Love is endless.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Being in love with. Yeah, it's nice. All right. Guess what? We're going to talk about the Sandy Hook scenario. That really has been pressing not only on our hearts, but also it's all throughout the United States. And we have seen a lot of people with a lot of emotions about this. And most importantly, it needs to be discussed, because the only way that you can kind of start the healing process is to get it out and start talking about it. You can talk about it among family, friends, talking among, even someone like a psychologist, anyone to help you cope with what just happened. The President of the United States, to see him weep, really.
But you know what? That lets you know that he is a person that not only thinking about his office, but he was taking this from the perspective of a parent. You know, so he's like, I just can imagine, you know, what I would be feeling like if that was his two daughters. But I'm telling you right now, if that happened to my kids, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm telling you right now, I have no idea what the outcome would be. Probably say, oh, you just unstable. Yep. If somebody killed my kids, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be unstable. You know, things I have absolutely no idea, you know, what that is. And in the magnitude of 28 families in a small town, only 27,000 people. That's a lot of frustration. That's a lot of hurt. That's a whole lot of pain. You know, and for what? You know, and I was talking to somebody earlier, and this is where y'all gonna not get too touchy-feely with me, because this is one of the things I'm saying. This is a judgment call. This parent knew her child was unstable.
That's what they say.
She knew that her child had a mental condition, and this is where sometimes your entertainment can interfere with your child's livelihood. Because if you knew that your son was unstable, you knew that your son had this mental condition. This is not the first time that he had anger. He might have even had told his mother at some time, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to blow your brains out. You know, you got to take that stuff serious, especially when it's coming from somebody, check this out, that you trained how to shoot a gun.
Okay.
Okay?
I know, and that's what they're saying. The guns were registered in her name, the mother, that is. And, you know, so there's accountability on some level. And he was only 20 years old. So there's a whole lot of stuff that just is not right. And I know we're not here to sit there and judge, but as parents, we do have those natural feelings of feeling like, why? This did not have to happen.
Did not.
You know, now these families are going to be devastated, and this is going to be a reminder for the rest of their lives that they lost children because of somebody else's child didn't do
or
what
judgment.
They needed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wanted to talk real quick about just in terms of a responsibility in terms of our community. You know, if I know my child has issues, whether he may be, as you mentioned, anger issues, maybe whatever psychological issues, what kind of responsibility do I as a parent need to reach out to the community and say, look, my child is not well, I'm concerned about my child, and we don't know at this point if she's done that, but there's got to be some accountability in terms of a parent to say, I got to put the flag out to anyone that has any dealings with my child to know that there's issues greater than, you know, they may not even see that there's issues that this child may have.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that's very important is that as a parent, you need to know your children. Because trust me, I know my daughter, I know my granddaughter, I know my mother. You know, I know things that will tick them off. I know things that will trigger them. So you got to know this personality. And I will tell you, I'm a parent that will not have a gun in my house. I will not have one.
And you won't have a gun in the house because
and
why?
And it's not because I don't know how to fire a weapon, because I've been taught how to also fire a weapon. But I won't have one in my house because I have teenagers. I have my kids. I was telling you earlier about my story. I have my granddaughter who nosy. You know, kids are curious. And when you're not looking, you don't know what they're into. I was telling Lori earlier about I was a 14-year-old, you know, living in the north end of Hartford, and my parent, mother or father, don't know which, had a gun. And my mother never heard this story. So if she go to SSTV, she going to be hearing this for the very first time. That I was rambling through their stuff, and I found this handgun, you know, in the drawer. So I'm trying to pull the trigger because I just want to hear it go pop. So it wasn't going off. So I turned it and started putting my two thumbs in to push the trigger. Had that gone off, I would have been what they called a suicide. And it wasn't even been suicidal. It would have been plain old stupidity.
Oh my goodness.
I'm telling you, stupidity would have ended my life. So as I was messing with it, the magazine fell out. Girl, I can remember it to this day.
The magazine, 'cause
the magazine is where the bullets are. So I must have hit the safety. Thank God my father had the safety on. I must have hit the safety or something, and the magazine fell out. When I saw all those bullets, even at 14, When I saw all those bullets, I kind of like slid that thing very carefully because I didn't want nothing to go off. I wasn't pointing it at myself anymore. I kind of slid it in there and put it right back where I found it. So if you are a parent that think your kids don't ramble and think they don't get into your stuff when you're not at home, they do.
They do.
I'm telling you that they do.
She did.
Yeah, and they do. And I had like foster kids in my home, and it wasn't until I had lost my keys one day. They wasn't too bright. And I had lost my keys one day, and so he said, I'm not even going to tell you his name. He said, well, why don't you use this? So he had like a credit card. He just opened my door.
Ooh.
So how many times had those kids been getting in my bedroom when I wasn't home?
Oh, Lord.
So you know I immediately put a deadbolt on there, right? But until that happened, I didn't realize they were getting in my room.
Okay, but you know what?
So parents, protect your kids by not letting them.
But what happens in this scenario, and I'm going back to the Sandy Hook thing because there's so many unanswered questions.
Yes.
And we're parents, right?
Yes.
What do we tell our young children? Because they're hearing about it. Now, I'm trying to protect my kids from the details of what's being shown out there.
Right,
but the reality is they're hearing it through
They'll hear it other places.
They're afraid. Mommy, is this normal? What do we do, Mommy, when someone tries to... What would you tell parents out there?
Yeah. I'm just saying, you got to... I don't know how, but you got to try to get your kids to understand, okay, this was a one-time incident. This happened in this location. And I don't know what the school systems are getting ready to do, but I'm telling you right now, every single parent who has a child in any school, you need to get to your Board of Education, you need to get to your mayor and your council members and mandate security outside the building.
What do you mean?
Because this was not a child who gained access by ringing the bell.
They did have a buzzer.
He shot out the door and opened it and came in. Because my granddaughter, 6 years old, Grandma, this is Sharia. How did he get 2 guns inside the schoolhouse? I said, you know what?
Girls can say that.
If a child gonna say that, I had to ask the Sharia. That's a good question. But then as news started developing, then you realize that he didn't get buzzed in. He didn't gain access like he was supposed to. He shot a hole in there and opened the door and then came in.
And they didn't have any cameras or monitors to see this person trying to break in?
But they did, but the office was probably like right there because remember, the first encounter was with the office.
That's right, the principal.
So he shot them and then went on about his business. But then my daughter, I swear, my family's like, we watch a lot of CSI and NCI and all that stuff. So what Shaquisha said, all right, as soon as that incident happened, somebody in the office should have been able to push a button to put the school on lockdown so that all the doors locked so he couldn't get access to the room. Because how did you get in the room? Maybe he did the same thing that hasn't been revealed. Wow. But like in a prison system, we hate to think about our school system like a prison system. But in this case, had they been able to push a button to lock all the doors, maybe he couldn't have gotten, where the children were because he was focused on certain children, not just any children, certain children.
Oh, okay.
Because his mother was a kindergarten teacher, so he went right to the kindergarten classes. So I'm just Arjo. I'm not a psychologist.
Okay.
I just know kids. You see what I'm saying? Yep. So maybe there was some relationship that he was killing the mother, but he also wanted to kill anything that was dear and important to her. So that's why he went to the school because once he killed her, any normal person, okay, I done took care of that. So I got no reason to go anywhere else. Yeah. But he got in her car and went to the school where she taught, to the class that she taught to those kids. So, all that was going through his mind.
And I just think, there's so many thoughts. When I first heard about it yesterday, I was so, like I said, angry.
Yeah,
and then I'm thinking, it's just, evil. That's pure evil because you're going to the level of innocence. And a child who had nothing to do with the situation between the young man and his family for whatever was going on, and yet they had to be the casualty. They're the ones that had to be the ones to be, killed, as well as some of the adults.
Yeah, and I heard the governor say that too, that evil hit the town, but no abnormality and sickness hit the town because this was a person who was mentally not in his capacity. This was a person who had special needs. And we're going to be going to All Politics is Local. And Lori, if you can stay, we will continue.
I would love to. Yeah. Well, we're out of time. I just want to thank everybody for joining my show. And if you have any other questions that you'd like to send our way, you can visit www.accesstv.org or you can send an email to www.therelationshipshow@yahoo.com. Thank you and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
And I don't know what to say, but it seems like when I talk to you, the words get in the way. They get between me and you. The words get in the way. Sometimes situations come along in life, and you gotta use your brain to try to figure things right. So in a fit of passion, better watch what you say, cause that's the main time words get in the way. Getting all loud and starting to curse, all you're gonna do is make things worse. Well, all you gotta do is sit back and be cool, instead of getting wild, acting like a fool. But I don't wanna piss you off, and I don't wanna make you mad. But it seems like when I talk to you, the words get in the way. The words get in the way. They get between me and you. Words get in the way.